Hey guys, what's up? It's Alec Torelli, and welcome back to an episode of the Hand of the Day. Today we're going to be talking about an epic hand between Tom Dwan and Garrett Adelstein from the Hustler Casino, so stay right here. Hey guys, and welcome to the Conscious Poker YouTube. If you are new here, my goal at this channel is to simplify poker in a way that anyone could understand and help you make side income from the game. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss another episode. Also, head over to consciouspoker.com where we have awesome products and services to help you turn poker into a profitable side hustle and make a couple grand a month on the side. You can subscribe to our newsletter, it's totally free, and it's some awesome content for you. All right, now let's get into today's hand. The blinds are 200, 200, 400 with a 200 ante, and we're playing with a 100K buy-in at the Hustler Casino in their live stream. Tom Dwan kicks it off with a raise under the gun to 1200 with two jacks, and Garrett Adelstein to his left opts to just call with the ace queen. A bit of history here, the two had just played a hand a few seconds ago where it went to showdown, Tom lost the pot, so maybe there was some metagame, some history here where Garrett decided not to 3-bet with the ace-queen. One thing to note that at least I think he was thinking is that instead of 3-betting someone like Dwan, who's very aggressive and a very good player, it's better to call and perhaps let some weaker players in the pot behind you disguise the strength of your hand and potentially win a big pot if you flop something huge. Anyway, it goes heads up to the flop where things get interesting. Flop comes down Jack 10-4, and here Dwan takes an unconventional line and goes for a check. I actually don't mind this play here from Dwan because a lot of times you're going to be check folding this flop with a lot of hands, and you could really disguise the strength of your hand, maybe go for a check raise or a check call depending on sizing, and perhaps win a really big pot on later streets. So I don't mind the check here from Dwan. He's a very tricky player. Now over to Adelstein, who I think has a pretty clear bet. He has two overcards, a gut shot, a backdoor flush draw, and frankly, a good chance he has the best hand. Also, if Dwan has something like 7s, 8s, 6s, 9s, Adelstein wants him to fold those types of hands, and he could accomplish that with a bet here. So he gets some better hands to fold, and he sets the play up for potentially bluffs on later streets, or of course, he could win a big pot if he hits a king or backdoors diamonds. I like the bet here. He makes it 1500. I think the sizing is fine. Anything will get, 7s to fold. And Dwan decides to call with two jacks, which is a pretty unconventional play here. I think, given how deep they are, I think you might see a raise here from Dwan a little bit more often with something like an 8K raise, a big sizing. One thing to note is that Dwan has 3 out of the 4 jacks because he blocks a lot of the jacks that Adelstein could have, which are a lot of the hands that Adelstein's going to call a check raise with. I think if Dwan had something like 3 10s here, you'd see a check raise a lot more often simply because it's that much more likely that Adelstein has a jack. When Dwan has the board locked up, it's more likely Adelstein has a bluff, and Dwan probably wants to let Adelstein continue bluffing. Overall, good call by Dwan, and we go to the turn. Turn is complete gin for Adelstein, a king. He has the disguised nuts here. Of course, Dwan's never going to put him on 3 kings because he didn't 3-bet preflop, but even ace-queen is pretty unlikely because I think Dwan would expect Adelstein to 3-bet with that hand. Dwan now checks, and Adelstein decides to bet a big bet of 5K into 6,500. Overall, I like this bet here by Adelstein. You definitely want to be betting a lot bigger here, build up the size of the pot, and allow yourself to win a big pot, or on pretty much any river you expect to win a big pot. So over to Dwan, who I think has a clearer call on the turn than he does on the flop. If Adelstein's bluffing, you want to flat here, let him continue bluffing, but if he did turn something like ace-queen or queen-9, you definitely don't want to get stacked here by raising the turn. I think a turn raise here by Dwan also looks very, very strong, so I think it's better to disguise your hand, go for a call, and then potentially check raise on the river depending on what it is or what Adelstein bets. Dwan calls, and we go to the river. Guys, one more thing I meant to tell you. As you know, crypto is exploding lately, and for the past 4 years, I've dedicated a large amount of my time, life, and investing to the crypto space. I recently started a new crypto YouTube called Torelli. Get it? Crypto Torelli? Anyway, Torelli. You can search for it, or the link is in the description. And I would love if you came and supported. If your goal is to understand crypto better, my mission at Torelli is to simplify crypto, finance, investing, Bitcoin, NFTs, DeFi, the whole space to make it very easy for everyone to understand. It's meant for beginners to onboard people. I also started a newsletter, which is published on Substack. It's absolutely free, and you can get it at Alec Torelli, just my name, alectorelli.substack.com. It would mean the world if you supported. Anyway, let's get back to the hand. The river comes gin for Dwan, a jack, giving him the nuts. Unbelievable run out of cards here, changing who has the best hand on every single street. And I think Dwan has a clear check raise here. I think if he bets, a lot of Adelstein's hands are just going to call. One case for betting, though, is that if you really did cooler your opponent, like if he has something like 10s or 4s, he's going to raise and you can go for a 3-bet. And so you can actually get 3 bets in on the river, whereas if you check raise, you can only get 2 bets. So that's one thing to consider if you really think your opponent has a hand that's nutted, like 10s or 4s, it's better to bet. But against his overall range, I think a check raise is just a better play. Dwan checks, which I think he's going to do with all of his hands here, so it's a very balanced play from Dwan. And over to Adelstein, who has a very clear bet. The question is, how much? Adelstein counts out his chips and decides to go for an overbet, betting more than what's in the pot, putting in 25,000 into 16,000. Overall, I like the bet here. His range is what is called polar, meaning it's comprised of very, very strong hands or complete bluffs. And in a spot like this, he's going to want to bet bigger to balance things out. Also, if he is bluffing, let's say with something like ace-5, he's just barreled the flop, turned some equity, decided to bluff, he's going to want to bet big here to get Dwan to fold. Also, Dwan could definitely have something like ace-jack or queen-jack or jack-9. Those hands are going to call a big size bet, so why not bet big and get paid the most? Unfortunately for Adelstein, he's in for a rude awakening when Dwan counts out his chips and goes for a check raise. Now, Dwan makes a check raise here to 68,000, which is a big amount, but it's actually kind of small given how much Garrett bet. When your opponent overbets and you decide to check raise, I think you should typically be going a little bit bigger here because you're repping so small of a range. I mean, your opponent overbet. So what hands are you going to check raise and overbet with? You either have a complete bluff or you have just the stone cold nuts. I don't even think Dwan's going to check raise and overbet here with something like 4s, because if you have 4s here, you're scared your opponent has 10s, jacks, jack 10, king jack. So even with 4s here, you're probably not going to be check raising. So what is Dwan check raising this river with? He either has quads, he has king jack, or maybe jack 10. He probably doesn't even check raise 10s here, frankly. Maybe he check raises 10s, maybe. But his range is so nutted that I think he should be going a lot bigger here. Also, I think bigger might even look like a bluff here, because if Dwan's bluffing, he's probably not going to make it 68,000, give Garrett better than 2-1 on his call, because if Garrett has 4s or 10s, he's not going anywhere. So if you want your opponent to fold and you're Dwan, you got to make it big. So when you have the nuts, go big here. I would make it something like 110,000 and just hope your opponent has a boat. He's probably not going to fold, and hope he calls it off. Also, maybe if he has ace queen, he says, well, why did he make it so big? He must be bluffing, and then he levels himself into calling. So I actually like a bigger raise here from Dwan. In a weird way, even though back over to Garrett, he's getting a good price here, it's almost easier to fold to a smaller raise just because it seems so likely that your opponent's nutted. I know that's kind of weird, and maybe that's just how I think about the hand. I'm just being fully honest with how I would think about it. But in some ways here, it's like, man, he wants me to call so bad that I'm going to out-level him and fold. Anyway, Garrett takes a while, thinks about it. Before we get to the results, leave your thoughts in a comment below. Do you like this sizing here? What should Garrett do? I would love to hear your thoughts in a comment below. While you're down there, do me a favor, smash that like button too. It really helps show this video to more people so I can keep producing awesome content for you. Now, over to Adelstein, and I think this is a spot where you do have a very strong hand, but if you think about this situation in general, it is what's called under-bluffed, meaning most of the time people don't bluff in this spot. Now, a player like Dwan, maybe he knows that and he's bluffing here, but it's a really weird river to bluff. I mean, Adelstein could definitely have a jack. He can have a boat. He can have a straight. So why is Dwan going to be bluffing into what potentially could be the nuts? So I don't think Dwan's bluffing here that often. I think I would hunt him and haw and probably find a fold. I know it's easy to say that because I'm standing behind a camera. I'm not facing a $68,000 check raise. But overall here, I think Garrett could kind of find a fold. In the end, Garrett folds. Power to him. He does make some incredible plays on this show. He seems like he's always right from the hands I see. So props to Garrett. I hope you enjoyed this video. More awesome content's coming your way, including some free giveaways and opportunities for you as well here on this channel. So be sure to stay notified when awesome content comes. If you have more hands you'd like me to review, drop them to me on Twitter or Instagram at Alec Torelli. I'll pick the best ones here in future videos. Thanks for your attention. I'll see you in the next one.